to the 7-inning split squad game. John Chumby, Jim Deshaies, Taylor McGregor, and we're delighted to be joined up here in the booth by Cubs President of Baseball Operations, Jed Hoyer. What have you been doing? Been busy at all?
It's been unbelievable. Obviously, I've never experienced something like this. We had the sprint before the lockout, and then unbelievable sprint for last week. Not a lot of sleep, but we knew this was coming the whole time and prepared for it. So it's been wild. I think it's wild for 30 teams. And like I said, hopefully we don't experience something like this again, because I think everyone's selling guys as fast as they can. And I think the nature of this spring is going to be a little strange. The early season, I don't think guys are stretched all the way out and stuff, so people are grabbing pitching where they can and depth where they can. But it's been a lot of fun. Anyways, our staff has done a great job, and I'll be excited to finalize it and really have a better sense of our roster.
Is it like a trade deadline? What's it like? Because I feel as though if I've seen you and Carter 10 times, you've each probably been on your phone 9 of them. When I've seen you, it's been that seemingly that crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely been a full phone battery pack day every day. A phone a lot. It feels like a trade deadline. I think it's coming towards an end. I think guys seem like there's a lot of urgency over the last few days. You get a sense that games are starting, and people realize they need to get in camp. So first couple of days, there wasn't quite as much urgency. Now you get the sense guys want to sign and get to camp. And even if you sign today, you're probably not getting on the field until probably Monday at the earliest, because of physicals and stuff like that. So already you're behind. So I think a lot of guys are going to be behind and kind of getting ready in season. And I think we can expect some unusual stuff. I think in April.
If you were able to sign, just hypothetically, like a Japanese player for maybe a 5-year contract, when would he hypothetically be able to be here?
I knew you were going to ask that for some reason. Next time I come on at a different time, I'm more than happy to talk about it. I can't quite yet. But it's been a fun 3 or 4 days in that regard. And obviously we met with him on Monday night, and that was a really great experience. And Tom flew out for that. And I think that it's always those processes are always enjoyable. Getting to know people you know in that setting.
So this is just circling back a little bit, follow up with Big's initial question. This is kind of granular and maybe borderline lame, but when you talk to agents, I would assume normally you pick up the phone, you dial their number. I mean, through this period, have you had to text instead of an appointment? I mean, do you have availability? I mean, was it so busy? Is it, is the accessibility still there?
Yeah, not as much recently. I would say the first night it was wild because it was just 6 o'clock on Thursday night. Everyone was calling, and you knew, guys were probably getting multiple calls at the same time. Yeah, it was. Like I said, everyone had been preparing for this for 90 days. You knew when lockout ended, it was going to be a sprint. This was more of a sprint than we thought. I think we all thought we probably had a little bit more time. Or not time in lockout, but I think we probably thought it was going to be okay. Like they'll start tomorrow, and then maybe spring training will go till April. We'll have go till April 15th. Something they didn't know. This is going to start tonight. And by the way, opening day is still April 7th. So I think that, and we're still waiting to hear on the roster stuff. I'm hoping the next couple of days we'll learn about what are we doing, what are we playing within April. Because I think that to me is really important. We think about, are we going to play with 26 and 13? Are we going to play with 28? Are we going to play with 30?
27 maybe?
We have no idea. Yeah.
Well, they're talking about it right now at the league office. They're still haven't sorted things out, and that'll really impact what you're putting together.
Yeah. So we've had some initial roster discussions with the coaching staff, but we can't really lock in on anything until we know the rules.
There's so much to get to, in fact, in terms of what's in front of us. You get the guy at first base and Brennan Davis, and then the guy at the plate. I guess I'll start with PCA. Pete Crow-Armstrong, who you got in the Baez trade. He's a former first-round pick. He basically will be making his minor league professional debut this year. He's got, 25 plate appearances as a minor leaguer and had that shoulder issue. But give me a little scouting report on him.
Yeah, so he only played, I want to say like half a dozen games or so last year. Before he hurt his shoulder, he was out for the year. Really outstanding defensive outfielder. He's obviously playing left today with Brennan in center, but he's a true center fielder. He can really go get it. Just makes it look easy out there. They made some swing changes with him. He was here all winter working out, and he looks a lot stronger. His exit velocity off the bat are way up from where they were before. So it's exciting. You see right now you can run. And he's a guy that's a high school player. He was for a while. He was the number one high school player in the country. You don't end up there by not having really good instincts. So we're super excited about him. And obviously Brendan at second. And I feel like we got somewhat lucky with Davis. He's not on the 40-man yet, so he was able to work out with us all winter. And he looks fantastic physically. You see him. And, he's obviously always been a physical guy, really athletic, but he's even put on more really good weight. He looks terrific, and so like I said, we were fortunate he was able to, some of the guys in the 40-man roster, some of the older prospects weren't able to. We had some guy like a Chris Morel or Canario or Velasquez. We couldn't talk to them or figure out what was going on with them because of 40, but Brendan wasn't. I think that was really fortunate.
Give me a good comp for Brendan Davis.
I'm not going to play the comp game yet. But I think
Chad Hoyer said he's the next Willie Mays.
I'll say this: I'm not going to compare him as a baseball player, but I think more and more from a physical standpoint, I think he looks like Matt Kemp. Like the young version of Matt Kemp with the Dodgers, when he could really run, play center field, really strong. I think Kemp's lower half was a little bit bigger even then, but both guys were probably the same height. They're playing at the same weight, and then guys that can run a lot better than you expect. I thought that was a heck of a throw that he made earlier, showing off the arm too. So that's probably the best physical comp I'll give you.
He can stick in center in your mind?
I think he's an outstanding outfielder, whether it's a center fielder or a plus outfielder. He's definitely a very good defender.
All right, we didn't get to ask you about the new